get you a prize. I'll work on a prize for you.
All right, sounds good.
Great job, great job. Seth, great to have you on. Didn't even register. No. Cool. Well, now that we got our sillies out and hopefully learned a little bit, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah Schwiensburg. She's going to talk about just how we can be more media savvy. Sarah, I think we allotted you 15 minutes. Do you think you can trim it down to 10? We'll listen up, take notes, and then do our final breakout room. After that breakout room, we're all going to come back to the main session, and then we're going to have a coffee hour where we can just hang out and chill and have fun. Sarah, awesome. I'm going to spotlight you.
Hey, well, great job, you guys. This has been really fun. You guys are doing a great job putting this on. Hi, my name is Sarah Schwiensburg. I'm honored to be here tonight to get to talk to you a little bit. So to start out, before we talk about media savviness, I was asked to share a little bit about how WJI affected my career. And of course, you can see that Lee is indeed ageless throughout the years. I attended WJI in 2015, and it was a great time. This is back when it was in Asheville, North Carolina, a lot different than how it is at Dordt now. We stayed at a downtown hostel in Asheville called the Pea in the Pod, I believe, or the Sweet Pea, and we stayed in bunk beds with little curtains for 2 weeks. And I'm from the Midwest, a farm girl. It was a very new urban experience for me. So I was exposed to a lot of things, and it was a really, really great time. I don't see any alumni other than Sandy from my class here tonight. So hopefully another one they'll jump on. But from that, got an internship with World the following summer. That's where this picture was taken. And I don't know what can be better for your career than living with the Olaskis in their house. It was a really great time just to be mentored by them in your writing, your editing. It was challenging. We'd have to come to the table every morning with a news pitch for Marvin for the day. So we were all up at 6:30, 7, trying to read, listen to all the news to be the most news aware and savvy at the breakfast table that morning. It was really wonderful. We also got to spend time in Washington, D.C. Lee led that part of the internship. That was great. This is when JC was on the ground in DC and Evan Wilt. And we got to go to Ted's Bulletin for breakfast. And I ordered the market price crab cakes, I think, and was told that was quite rude. But anyway, it was a really great start and exposure to journalism. That's what WJI did for all of us, right? Was give us real world experience and real world challenge and frustration and stress. But at the end of the day, you never felt so fulfilled and just rewarded for your hard work and what you'd been able to accomplish that day. From there, I worked for World for the next 5 years, and only earlier this month transitioned out of full-time journalism into a different career. But I think it was fun to hear in the breakout rooms, just the array of careers that all of us have gone on to. And I think that's what's so amazing about journalism is the skills are so transferable. Being able to communicate, write, critically think, read, build relationships with people, be skeptical, be curious. Those things serve you in any profession that you do. So I think it's awesome we'll have this network to keep professionally developing those specific skills in journalism because they will serve us in anything we do. We're moms or working at the agency that regulates national banks, like one gentleman tonight. So it was a really amazing time. So I'll transition into talking about how to be media savvy. These things are probably obvious in some ways to all of us, but hopefully it's just a good refresher course on how to not just passively consume media, but to really intentionally think about what we're reading, where we're getting it from, and what we do with it. So first of all, this is maybe pretty 101, but know your source. Oh, and I wanted to ask, maybe real quick in the chat, if people just wanted to put where do you get your news from? I think it'd be interesting to see just a variety of news sources, and some of you might get some new ideas for where you'd like to get your news from. Maybe some of you feel like, I want a fresh perspective, or I want a different perspective, but I don't even know where to start looking. So that could be one resource that we can bounce off of each other tonight. Yeah, know your source. Where is this information coming from? I mean, there are some, certainly obvious name recognition, legacy media outlets that all of us could recognize. But then in the last 5-6 years, especially, you've seen, a lot of both more left-leaning, more right-leaning. You've seen a lot of startup news publications that are trying to get around sort of that that legacy media filter or wall that maybe has been around a lot of our news sourcing in the past. So if you've never heard of the outlet and they're publishing something, I mean, it might be good to do a Google search, figure out who is this? Are they reputable? How long have they been around? Who are their donors? Why were they started? Take a look at more than just one of their articles. And in knowing your source, understand a bit about the ideological perspective they're coming from. Just because, and if you find that a news source, very strongly is coming from, maybe a conservative, or maybe a libertarian, or maybe a left, maybe a progressive, or maybe they have, they want to end war in the Middle East, or they want to uncover corruption in a certain aspect of government. Just because they have a strong ideological bend or a mission doesn't mean what they're saying is inaccurate per se. It's just good to be aware that that's where they're coming from. And it helps you know in your own mind, like, maybe I need to complete the picture. Maybe what they're saying is part of it, but just make sure that I round out what I'm reading with other sources and other perspectives on this particular topic. So maybe also obvious, don't just read the headlines. I think it's funny, there's been just some stories with like the Babylon Bee or even the Onion, where people will just read headlines and think, oh, this must have happened, I can't believe it. And if they really took time to maybe read the article itself or digest the information a little more, you could quickly realize it's satire. And sometimes really good headlines that grab your attention can be misleading in a sense. That's why they're grabbing your attention. So just make sure you don't stop there, and you don't just read the first paragraph as well. Sometimes, a startling or eye-grabbing lead also isn't maybe telling the full picture of the story. So keep reading. A lot of times, in my experience, the more nuanced information, the more complicated, or maybe something that hasn't been widely reported is buried in the middle of the story or towards the end. And you won't find those nuggets that really make the issue clear if you just stop at the headline in the first couple of paragraphs and keep going on. Third point, get context. So, I mean, how many times have you been talking to someone and you'll be talking about an issue and they'll say, oh, I read this article and it said da 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 da. And I think each of us, we are crunched for time. We don't have time to become experts on everything, but it's good to just remember that reading one article about something does not make you an expert. And it's really good if you're going to be maybe shaping an opinion about something, trying to argue someone else out of their opinion, voting on something. It's really good not to just read one thing and think, okay, I've got this figured out, but really try to give yourself a deep dive into the larger issue. This just happened. I saw someone share an article about immigration, a Biden administration policy, and it sounded kind of sketchy what they were doing. And then someone else who's a longtime reporter in immigration commented, this article is misleading. It's not giving this background that this happened under the Trump administration and the Obama administration. So those are just things that can happen if we just read one article and do a quick take. So take time to really try to understand the issue before considering yourself fully informed on it. 4, research institutions and think tanks. So this can take extra time, but try to figure out who the article is quoting. Who are these people? A lot of think tanks sound, very generic. They could be coming from anywhere. It's really good just to take a minute, go on their website. A lot of times they'll have an About tab. You can look at what kind of scholarly or research articles they're publishing, and that'll give you a good idea of where they're coming from. A lot of times newspapers will designate like a left-leaning think tank or right-leaning think tank, but try to go figure out what that means. And also a lot of think tanks and institutions will call themselves nonpartisan, bipartisan. Try to go see what that means too. So don't always just take the newspapers or the articles or the podcast designation of what the think tank is like. Try to go figure out for yourself who they're quoting in their article and how that might affect the interpretation they're giving to a policy or a number. Number 5, read and listen widely. So get off the beaten path. Like I was saying at the beginning, I think each of us kind of has our go-to news sources, whether that's, just getting on Facebook, or maybe we get on Twitter, or maybe, you have an email that someone sends out, like World has daily emails that we send out. But just try to, go read or listen to something that you'll disagree with before you even read or listen to it. It's a really great way to expose yourself to perspectives and opinions that you might very much disagree with, but it's a great way of building understanding. It's a great way of building your own critical thinking. Like, okay, I'm hearing this. Why do I still disagree, or why do I still believe in what I think about this issue? From my own life, I used to listen to the Daily from the New York Times almost every day, and then I got annoyed with their political reporting and I stopped. And a few months ago, I thought, you know what? Even if I disagree or feel like it's incomplete or fair at times, it's not good to just cut them out and create sort of an echo chamber. I mean, this is the most important publication in the world, really. And it's great to expose yourself to what are they saying? What are people hearing from them? Even if I'm not going to take away exactly what they would like me to take away from that. And then lastly, does the publication display accountability? I love that on the World and everything in it, every other Friday, I think we have what's called listener feedback, where we, admit mistakes, talk about what we did wrong, let listeners have a voice of, hey, like I disagreed with this perspective, or you weren't fair, or this. And that to me just builds so much trust with an outlet when they're willing to say like, hey, we got this wrong, or hey, this is what a listener said, like, just so you guys know, like, we'll take this into consideration in the future, or we got this fact messed up. So just keep your eye out for that. Do they ever admit they're wrong when they're publishing? So those are just some quick tips. I think I maybe have 2 minutes left. So I just wanted to bring up something exciting that's also coming. It's a big year for WJI with the WJI Alumni Network, but we are in the very early stages of planning an early career WJI. Right now, we have the college career course, and then we have the mid-career course, which is for people maybe in their later 30s, 40s, 50s, nearing retirement, who are looking to use their career expertise to become correspondents or freelance, or maybe go into journalism full time. But we, Marvin and Lee, really felt like there was a gap for really early 20s, late 20s, and maybe early 30s. We're not for sure nailed down on the age yet. But this is going to be for young professionals who are looking to maybe fully transition into journalism, maybe are looking to keep working in whatever you're doing, but want to freelance more, or maybe you just really miss journalism and you just want to sharpen your journalism skills and then see what goes from there. We'll cover a lot of the same ground that was already covered in WJI and the mid-career course. But if it's been a couple years or maybe been 10 years, this might be a good fit for you. So I believe applications will open in January or so, but just keep posted for more information on this. So thank you guys so much for listening.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. And definitely picking back on what you said about the early career WJI. If you know people, feel free to pass the word along that. If you can't attend or you've already done WJI, feel free to start spreading the word around your community of people you might think would be a good fit for this.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, spread the word to your friends or people you know who might be interested. It'd be awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Sarah. I learned a lot. Like some of it is basic, but like it's good to be reminded. And then like some of those things I've definitely not been doing. So we're gonna go to a breakout room one more time. We're just gonna reflect on what Sarah said. So like, what has media consumption looked like for you lately? How do you stay informed? What have you been reading? So we're gonna do that for about 10 minutes, and then we're gonna conclude. We're all gonna come back. Dr. Lasky is gonna pray for us, and then we're gonna have our coffee hour. So the breakout rooms will not take any time because they're already gonna be the same ones from the first time. So boom, let's all go, and we'll see you in about 10 minutes.